Welcome to the Fermented Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Anna, and on this channel, I'm sharing our journey of learning how to turn our home into a homestead. Welcome to Fermented February. Today is Friday, and we are almost halfway through Fermented February, and I'm super excited to share this recipe with you. This recipe is going to be for a pretty standard, not many deviations, miso. And this recipe is not going to be like my normal ones where I usually go from start to finish. This one is just going to be the start of the process. And the reason for that is I want to give everybody an opportunity to kind of follow along with me if you want to get started on making your miso, because it is such a long process. It's anywhere from 3 months all the way up to 3 years. So there's a pretty big span of time with that one, and it's all based on your preference, what kind of mold rice you use. All of those things are a factor in what determines how long you're going to let your thing ferment, but most of it is just personal preference. For the Fermented February collaboration, I want to give you guys a little bit of an info on that one. If you guys are really interested in the ins and outs of the collaboration, I will link it down below. Basically, we have 19 channels, including myself, that are taking part in this collaboration, where one of us is putting out a video every day of the month up until the 27th. And then on the 28th, I'm going to be doing a live stream along with a drawing of somebody who's going to win a regular mouth canning fermenting set, and somebody's going to win wide mouth and a regular mouth, whatever, I'm going to say that wrong, but one of each is going to be given away on that live stream. I'm going to pick 2 random videos, and underneath those videos we're going to do a random comment generator, and we're going to randomly pick 1 comment underneath each of those 2 videos, and that's going to be the winner. So you want to make sure that you're watching all of the videos in the collaboration to give yourself the best chance, and commenting on each of the videos in the collaboration to give yourself a chance to win. The people that are taking part in the collaboration are A Farm Girl in the Making, A Good Life Farm, Acre Homestead, Bacon Grease Goddess, Becoming a Farm Girl, Bumblebee Apothecary, Fermented Homestead, Freedom Homestead, Green Witch Homestead, Hamakua Homestead, Hidden Oaks Homestead, Hood to Homestead, Morris Patch of Heaven, Mulberry Branch Farm, North Star Prepsteader, Row and Co Farms, Sage and Stone Homestead, Stivers Homestead, and that 1870s Homestead. So make sure, I will link all of these channels down below. Make sure you go and check out all of their channels, check out their videos, and make sure to comment on all of their Fermented February videos and their other ones, but especially the Fermented February videos. We're gonna get started on making the miso. Last night, I went ahead and started the process of soaking these. I rinsed these off a few times, and I just left them to soak. I did an equal amount of the dried soybeans to what I had of the rice, and these are 16 ounces, so 454 grams. That's how much I weighed for each of these jars. And then I rinsed them off a few times, and then filled them up all the way with water, and just let them soak overnight. So you want to do that between 16 to 24 hours, but probably no longer than 24 hours from what I've read. For this part of the process, all we're going to do is we're going to rinse these off a couple more times, and then we're going to let them boil. This book that I have is called Koji Alchemy. I will link that video, or I will link that book down below. It has a ton of information on all different kinds of Koji ferments. They're just like, I love this book. I'm gonna actually go and dig this one out of storage because I packed it. I packed all my books and my equipment, and so I need to go and dig those out of storage so I can do my 101 videos. In case you guys are wondering, I had said that I was gonna try and get the Fermenting Beginner 101 video posted today, but I didn't look at the calendar, and I didn't realize that today is actually my miso day. So that video is gonna be coming next Friday. That's just gonna give me a little bit more time to dig into all the comments and to gather the equipment that you guys are curious about, because I did get a lot of people curious about the things that you do need to make ferments, and I do have quite a bit of that equipment and the books and things like that that can really help people along who are newer to this. But just so you're aware, all you need is a mason jar and like some kind of a lid. That's really all you actually need. Everything else just makes the process easier. It makes it so it's less of a chance of going south. It makes it just a little bit easier, and all of those things are kind of some of the things that I have here. For this process, in the research that I was doing, I don't think I actually saw anybody making miso in mason jars, and I think the reason for that is that you have to actually get in there and you have to push out the air, and so I think ones that have a bit of a wider opening like these tend to be a little bit more popular. And then this one is your more typical type of crock. This one does not have a water seal on it. Someday I will have a water seal crock, but that day is not today. So we just have these normal ones. These are much less expensive. These are like 25 bucks. I picked them up at the country store. All these things I will link the best thing that I can find down below for you guys. It'll be affiliate links for you if you're interested in buying any of this stuff. And then I also got the weights that go in there, which is very important in making miso. You don't have to have a weight, but you do have to have something bulky and heavy to weigh it down. Not one to keep it underneath the brine, but also to bring out some of the brine from it. It just kind of squishes it out. And then I also got these two Koji Rice. We have red Koji and a sweet Koji. The sweet Koji is more for the white one. It's more of a short-term ferment. The red one is for more of the long-term ones. It's going to be a bit more umami. It's going to have just a lot more flavor to it in the end. I don't know if it's due to the rice or if it's due to the length of time that you actually ferment these things for. So we have these. All we're gonna do with these, we're gonna rinse them off a couple of times, and then we're gonna cover them with like at least an inch of water, put a lid on them, and let them boil for 4 hours or until you can easily squish them and they're just very squishy. You can see all this foam that's come to the top. If you can catch it, you want to skim that off. It's just kind of some of the icky stuff that's in it, you know. It'll just help you have a cleaner tasting product. And that's pretty much the case with anything that you boil. Like any kind of vegetable, any kind of ferment. Well, you don't really boil ferments very often. But like broth. That's a big one. You always generally skim off any kind of foam or gookiness that rises to the top. Same principle. So this is gonna go ahead. It's 3 o'clock now. I have a live stream with you guys here in about 2 hours. And then after that, so we'll check this at the 3 hour mark, but I'm told 4 hours is the winner on that one. All right, so in the cooking process, in order just to save electricity and to save burner space, I just combined the two batches. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna pour off the bean water. It's a lot of bean water. I don't think we're gonna need that much. So we're just gonna dump this into our measuring cup here. Finish it off. So now we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put this on a scale. We're gonna see how much of this we actually have so we can split it into 2 equal sized batches. Basically 2 kilograms of the finished cooked product here. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna fill this thing up here all the way so that we have some bean water in reserve. And then we're gonna pour off half of it into this bowl. The next step for this process is gonna be to just mash these. And you just need to find something that you have that you can mash with. I'm gonna use my kraut pounder. This thing should do the trick. If you have some kind of a food grain mill or grain mill? No, not a grain mill. If you have a food mill, one of those little things that you know use to make tomatoes with, that would work fantastic here. You can also use a blender if you have it. Mine's in storage. You can also use a food processor. Again, mine's in storage. I do have a hand one, so if this is too challenging, I can use my hand one and that might work out a little bit better. So we're just gonna go ahead, we're gonna smush these things up and then make our koji, make our miso. You wanna do this step while it's warmer because if it's hot, it's just gonna be easier to smash. So I got these pretty much all mostly mashed up. I definitely could do a better job. These are still a little bit on the warm side. We're gonna let them cool down. We want it to be like 105 or so, and we're looking at like 115. So we're just gonna let these things cool off, and then I'll bring you back when things are cooled off. Okay, so we have let this stuff cool off for more than enough time. I made some dinner, ate some dinner. This stuff is plenty cool. So basically what we're gonna do next is we're gonna kind of pre-saturate the rice, and we're gonna try and get it to about the same consistency as the soybean paste, because that will help it to kind of come together better. We're gonna kind of soak it with a little bit of bean water and then just let it hydrate for like 20 minutes or so. This step is not required, but I have seen it in a few different videos that I've watched about it. Basically, it'll help it to coalesce better. Same thing with our red miso. And with this kind of process, I've seen people make it wetter and I've seen people make it drier. And I think one of the benefits to making it more of a wet mixture is that you get to, harvest is the wrong word, but you get to, one of the byproducts of it is tamari, which is a really delicious, flavorful soy sauce substitute. So, you know, it's kind of whatever you want to do. So we're gonna let this get just a little bit more liquidy, both of these guys here. But we're not gonna get it quite as liquidy as some of the recipes I've seen, like especially with the recipe from Brad from Bon Appetit. He puts like 4 cups of water. And that, who knows, by the end we might end up with that much, but unintentionally. So I'm just gonna try and mix this together a little bit and get it to be a very, very thick paste. Right now it's pretty darn dry, so I'm just kind of mixing in a little bit of water. You'll be able to see a little bit on this one here. I think that's probably good. Got bean paste all on the counter. Okay, so you can kind of see here. We're just trying to, like I said, we're just trying to get it to a nice thick paste. We're not trying to make any kind of liquid or, you know, not even like ketchup consistency. Like thick mashed potatoes. I guess that would be a good comparison for consistency. It's a really, really thick mashed potato. There we go. So we're gonna just walk away and I'm gonna let this go ahead and set the rice. We need to let this kind of absorb some of the liquid. So we're gonna be starting off with the white miso, the sweet miso. This one is gonna ferment for much less time. So what we're gonna do with this one is we have our Koji rice here and we're just gonna add it to here and we're gonna mix it up. And then we also have 2 tablespoons of our salt. 2 tablespoons, we have 200 grams of salt. And we're just gonna reserve some of that to coat the top with. Probably 2 tablespoons. And then we're just gonna mix. You can use it your hand if you want to, or you can just use a utensil, which is what I'm doing. I'm just gonna put a lot of miso. Miso happy. I'm going to use my hands now. Alright, so I think that is pretty much done. I'm going to do the same thing with the other koji, with the other beans, and then I'll bring you back for the next step. So for this process, we just have some vodka. You take a nice clean paper towel. We're gonna kind of just put some vodka on here. Just enough. How much? And then we're just gonna wipe the inside. It's gonna kill any kind of bacteria that could be on here. And just kind of help give us a nice sterile work environment. But we don't want to have any kind of antibacterial soap on here because that's gonna just kill the bacteria and keep on going. It kind of doesn't stop. There we go. So those are wiped out. Those are ready. Okay, so let's mix this guy up here. Really good. I am not an expert at miso, so please don't misunderstand me. I'm learning right now. So, but some interesting things that I found with this miso is kind of an incredible ferment, okay? They discovered back when Japan was bombed, they discovered through experimentation, basically, in the hospitals and stuff, that the miso actually helped chelate radiation and heavy metals. So people who had been using daily miso actually had almost no effects when they were within like 1 mile of the center of this bomb that went off, and they didn't show any signs of radiation poisoning, whereas other people in the same area who were not doing high doses of radiation, high doses of miso, they did have radiation poisoning, and they were just suffering terribly. And another thing that they found, it helps reduce any risk of breast cancer. And I believe it's breast and prostate cancer. And then enzymes that are in the miso, they're actually used in Japan as digestive enzymes. Like around in America, we tend to use, it's an enzyme from papayas. And that tends to be what's in like the supplements for the digestive enzymes. But there they use some of the bacteria and whatever, some of the things in miso, and they use that instead. So I'm really looking forward to this, and this is also used very heavily in re-inoculating a heavily damaged gut microbiome. And so this is not going to be ready by the time that I need it. So I'm actually going to have to go to the store and make sure that I buy an unpasteurized miso so that I can start using that as the process when I'm finished with my antibiotics for my SIBO, my small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So I'm going to be getting that and using that as part of my regimen to re-inoculate my gut. So, all right, so these are all mixed up. We are ready for the fun part. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of salt in the bottom. Okay. I think this is all just to inhibit bacterial growth, basically. So we're gonna take balls, and we're gonna kind of roll it. And you're kind of rolling it like dough, where you're kind of pushing it. Basically the goal is to get any air out of this thing. So we're gonna push it and roll it into balls and put it in the cup. There's many ways that you can do this. It depends on how thick your paste is, really. Ours is fairly thick, I think. So it's certainly something that we can roll into balls. So I don't know about you guys, but I am continually fascinated by ferments. It's a huge passion of mine, and I'm just amazed by it. Like, it's fantastic. It's like, it's the controlled decomposition of food, but what happens to it is like, it's basically miraculous. Like, it's the only food, with the exception of possibly canning tomatoes, like cooking tomatoes at high temperatures. It's the only food preservation technique where it actually increases the nutritional benefits of it. It increases the vitamins, like vitamin C. I'm not sure about miso, but I know with sauerkraut, the vitamin C is increased like exponentially. I don't know the exact number. I will try and look it up and put it here. But it's amazing the benefits that come from fermenting your foods. And the great thing about fermenting foods, especially like things like miso, is it really helps to populate your gut microbiome and your digestive tract. It aids in digestion, and it just has so many other health benefits that I mentioned earlier that can really help you and be beneficial for your health. your gut, and just your overall well-being. It's kind of amazing, which is exactly why I started Fermented February. I want to share my love. The next step we're gonna do is you literally just take these balls and you throw them in there. And then you pack it in. I don't know why I'm so entertained by this, but you just throw it in there and then you pack it in there. I could probably throw it a little better if I didn't have the camera right above me. But basically the goal with that, you wanna make sure you have clean hands, clean utensils, clean everything. You can see a little better if you are using like a glass crock, but this is what I got. So this is what we use. And we're just trying to push out all the air. That's what we're doing. It looked a lot more fun on the camera. So we got all of our miso balls in here. That's a little bit of a better view. So next what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take the rest of the salt. Well, actually, do I wanna? Yeah, we're gonna take the rest of the salt. We're gonna sprinkle it on top. This is again to help to inhibit bacterial growth. It won't do anything for mold and yeast, but I probably didn't have to reserve quite so much of the salt. I could have put it in the miso, but whatever. There we go. Okay, then we're gonna take this plastic wrap. Okay, so then we're gonna take this and we're gonna kind of push it in. We want to have direct contact with the food inside. Helps if your hands are dry. Mine are not. So then I have this, I learned this one from the video I watched from Brad. So basically just take this Ziploc and I put a piece of cardboard in here and push it down. And then I'm gonna use my crock weight because that's what I have. You can also just use, you can use a bag of salt. You can use like a saltwater brine. There's a few different things that you could use. Basically, you just want to use something heavy that will push down on this, on the soybeans inside of here, and can help to submerge it underneath the brine that's going to come up. I made this on the 7th. Today's the 10th. It's been 3 days. So we are ready to go ahead and do nothing because nothing happened. It's been 3 days. I thought maybe something would change in here, but it doesn't look like it has. But there are a couple of things that I want to make sure that I'm going over with you guys to make sure that I'm setting you up for success, because this is such a long-term ferment. And then I also want to introduce you to 2 books. These are 2 books that I have in my library, and these are the ones that I was talking about the other day, but I had put them into storage. These are 2 books that I really love. Okay, this one is just a tremendous, this is called Koji Alchemy, Rediscovering the Magic of Mold-Based Fermentation by Rich something and Jeremy something. And it has a foreword by Sandor Katz, who's like the, I don't know what you'd call, he's like the guru of fermentation. And he has 2 books of his own, The Art of Fermentation, can't remember the other one, but I'll link all those down below along with this one. I think his books are actually linked around below all of my newer videos just because I like them. But anyways, so this one is more of like a really in-depth look into just the art of Koji fermentation. Koji is the mold that we put on here. Koji is the mold that the rice was inoculated with, and that is what is going to make this ferment. But it's not, miso is not the only thing that you can do with it. There's a tremendous amount of things that you can actually do with it, and this book goes into really great detail about it. And I have not read this book cover to cover. There are recipes in here. There's actually a lot of recipes in here, but the first part of this whole book is just going through it. It's a whole new world for me. This is the first time that I've even attempted to touch Koji. So this is going to be a process. There's going to be several videos that I'm going to be doing on this as the course of time moves on. And then in the end, at the end of the 2 years, or the 1 year or the 2 year mark, I'm going to do an actual miso video with all the misos that I have made, and just kind of a side-by-side comparison. And so it's going to be a great video in the end, but I wanted to go ahead and bring you guys this video first, so that because it is such a long process, I want to make sure that you guys, if you're interested in following along and making your own miso, you can get started on it. And so all of the things that I'm going to be talking about over the next 2 years will make a lot more sense. And because I didn't want to wait until the 2-year mark and be like, hey, this is how you make miso, good luck in 2 years, you know? Like, I was like, no, let's start this together. So that's why I brought you guys this video today. And another book that I think is just freaking beautiful. It's called Miso, Tempeh, Natto, and Other Tasty Ferments, a step-by-step guide to fermenting grains and beans. This one here, this book is unbelievably beautiful. Let me bring you in. It just has so many different beautiful pictures. It has lots of recipes for actually being able to use the ferments that are in here, but then it just talks about the history, how to make things, all different types of these ferments, and it has the most beautiful pictures to accompany all of these things. I mean, it's just amazing. And you can make natto and tempeh, which are all just different types of bean ferments, and they're just amazing. So if you have issues with digesting beans, this can be a way that can get you started, get your body started on maybe being able to digest it. So I'm going to be sure to link both of these videos down, or both of these books down below. And if you guys are interested in it, you guys can read along with me. I'm going to bring you guys in close so that you guys can actually see inside of these while we're cleaning them out. Make sure we have clean hands, clean everything, okay? Okay. So we're just going to take this cover off. And let me see if I can get you guys to see, if you can see this here. And there's a little bit down here as well. In order to make sure that we don't have any mold allowed to set in once, because I should have done this the first day. So let me go ahead, take these weights out. I don't know if you can tell, but there's definitely some liquid. When I pushed on it, you could see the liquid that was starting to come out. Make sure we don't have anything. You want to make sure to do this the first time when you're doing it. I should have done this, and I didn't, so lesson learned. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take our vodka. This vodka should not harm any of the fermentation that's going on in there, but it's gonna get any of the things that might have been on the sides here. See what I'm doing here? There we go. We're just gonna wrap it back up. Saran wrap is cheap, so it's always best to replace it when you can. Make sure you don't accidentally contaminate anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna finish up the red miso off camera. I don't need to show you guys that twice. I just wanted to make sure that I showed that to you so that you are having the best possible start to making your miso. So I hope that you guys enjoyed coming along with me for the starting of miso, and I hope that you guys are gonna follow along and maybe you guys are gonna make some miso on your own. You don't have to make such a big batch. If you don't know that you like miso, you can always go to the store, buy some non-pasteurized miso. You'll have to find it in the refrigerated section, but unfortunately I have to wait like 2 years to get a good batch of this stuff. But we can start on the white miso as soon as the white sweet miso. We can start on that as soon as 6 months. So in 6 months, I'm gonna bring you back and we're gonna do a white miso video. So that's gonna be the first video that we're gonna do after this one. And then for next Fermented February, I'm gonna do another video on the red miso, how it's going, all those sorts of things, so you can get kind of a check-in on how this ferment is going. So make sure that you guys check out the list of all the channels that are participating in Fermented February. I'm gonna link them all down below. You wanna check them out, check out all their videos, comment on all their Fermented February videos so that you can be entered every single time every single video that you comment on is an entry to win a Mason Top fermenting kit. If you guys enjoyed this video, I hope that you guys will give it a thumbs up. It helps with all the googly algorithmic things. If you're new around here, make sure that you hit this subscribe button down here. We do all kinds of awesome videos. Up here is a video that Mr. Google Pants says that you're gonna enjoy. This video is my last Fermented February video, and then this is the Fermented February playlist. Make sure you check that out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.